Wilson Morales from Blackfman TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Hey,
Good.
Wilson.
How are you?
Good. Justin, I think I've seen a good share of your thrillers. So, what goes into saying yes to this one?
It was just so different than anything I'd read. I've read a bunch of those horror scripts, and I've done a few of them, as you mentioned, and yeah, I've done some that were unique and some that were kind of more standard. And this was just like nothing I'd ever read before. He really plays with a lot of the horror tropes that I knew well as a fan of the genre, and I just wanted to be a part of that story, like a very unique, original story.
And what about you, Georgina? When you're reading a script and there's the horror tropes, do you ever say to yourself, it is 2022? Can we be real?
Yeah, I guess. You mean? I'm sorry. What do you?
Without giving some things away, there's some things that some people do in these horror movies when they're by themselves.
You're saying, come on, we know better now.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think Zach kind of handles that really well in that as you're like watching the film, you're thinking, come on, like, why would you do this? Why would you do that? There were lots of comments on the YouTube, on the trailer being like, well, no one would do this. No one would go down there. They would call the police. They would, and she does all those things. She calls the police. She tries multiple ways to get out of this scenario, and she just keeps getting dragged in.
Now, are any of you a fan of Airbnb? Like this is a story about Airbnb. Do we do this? Do we do not? You don't know.
I use it all the time.
Yeah.
I,
They must know that they're in this film.
I, I know the founders a little bit, Joe and Brian. They're great. They're great. They're really socially conscious guys. They're doing a lot of work for refugees, and they do a lot of great charity stuff. And so I hope this doesn't bring any negative attention to the company, because they're I think a great company. But we just keep saying to people, if you are going to book an Airbnb, just check the basement. Just make sure you're very, just do a thorough check of the perimeter of the basement.
When people do these horror movies, part of the gimmick is that the characters are a little bit clueless, in some ways, whether it be any of your characters, like don't go down there, if you're going to go down there, bring something with you to defend yourself, or why not leave right away? What's your notion, in terms of playing these, and you have to have that moment by yourself where they're just shooting you, and a lot of it's more about your facial expressions. Justin?
What's
Like,
the
what's when you have your scene and it's you by yourself, and you have to play a little bit clueless, and then I guess the camera sometimes centers on your face, like, should I go, should I not go, and you've done these things before. So it's like, is there a certain look that you have, or do you try to do things differently?
well, I try to just be truthful, however the character would be. Like if it's in my case, my character does not know the danger that is down there in the basement that we're talking about, and so I go down and I get excited because there's all this square footage. So my intention, I just try to stay true to whatever the intention of the character is, and if I know that there's danger there, I would avoid it. And I don't know. I try to just do I try to find the truth in it.
Either way, when I go see these movies, I do plan to jump in my chair, and I got this coming out of this movie. So you guys did a good job. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks so
Thanks, Wilson.